friends, it's Auntie Cuckoo, and today I'm sharing a much requested video with you all. How to sanitize your groceries, bring them into your home and your space safely, as many of us lean on grocery delivery for all of our needs. I want to share a few safety tips with you all on how to bring them into your home without bringing anything else unwanted with them. Now, I'm sure you all realize things are different, and so now we prepare differently. We get things ready to bring our groceries safely into our home before they arrive. I like to gather supplies like gloves, a knife, some scissors, something to clean or wipe down my groceries with, some clean containers, maybe even one I can store away for a few days, and a trash can. Now you are also going to want to have a space designated for receiving your groceries. What I like to do is have two sides. You don't have to split it with tape. You can just have it sort of mentally marked. On the dirty side, I'm going to place my trash can. And then on the clean side, I want to have a container for putting some dry groceries in that maybe I can just set aside for a few days just to be super safe. Now it's time to set up for success. So let's start with disinfecting our entire area. You'll need a large space, maybe a table or kitchen island to work with. Make sure you clean and disinfect the entire area. I also would recommend loosening your Clorox wipes or whatever you're going to use to clean your groceries with. It will make it a lot easier to handle them once they arrive. This is also the time I would set aside some hot, soapy water, maybe in the kitchen sink with a bit of bleach for anything I need to clean after we've handled our food. Now I like to set out some clean food containers. They can be dishes, Ziploc bags, foil, whatever you want to place your clean food items on. Now we have a clean space and a dirty space ready to receive our groceries. Now I do like to wear gloves for handling my groceries, but it's not something you have to do as long as you are diligent in your hand washing. Now let's talk about your groceries. Before they arrive to you, they've been touched. They've been touched by people who could potentially carry something that could harm you. So for that, I think a visual is in order. I'm going to link a video done by a physician down below that I watched, and I thought it was amazing. He suggested that you picture your grocery items covered in glitter. Now the goal will be to get all of your items cleanly in your home without any glitter on surfaces in your home, your hands, and especially your face. And now it's finally time. Our groceries have arrived at the front door. We're ready to handle them, but first we need to discard any bags and packaging. So for this, the first thing you'll do is unload your grocery bags, keeping the items on the quote-unquote dirty side. Now, reaching inside of grocery sacks can get a little tricky. I suggest folding them down to fully unload your bags and discard them immediately. Now is definitely not the time for our reusable bags. So on to bag number 2, and being sure to not touch the bag on the inside or outside as much as possible while carefully removing our items from the bag, being sure that they stay on the half of the space that you've designated as quote-unquote dirty. Then discard your bag immediately into the trash, and now we'll work on sanitizing our groceries. I wanted to show you all the glitter that spilled out off of the items onto the dirty side of our table. There is definitely something to this visual that I think is helpful. Now for boxed items, I think it's helpful to have a large container that you can directly dump the items from the box into. As long as they are contained in some sort of plastic, there's no need for all this packaging, and you're immediately eliminating this source of contact with anything that could harm you. Now I'm going to discard our box into the trash immediately. For items that do not have any sort of packaging, things like chips, perhaps a box of rice that contains instructions on the back, you're going to want to use something to disinfect them. Make sure you wipe them for a total of 20 to 30 seconds per item. Be sure to use a clean wipe for each item and start from the top of the item, working your way down. Be sure that you imagine them covered in glitter and that you are touching and cleaning every surface of each container before you can safely place them onto the clean work area. Now for my family, I'm taking the extra step of storing non-perishable goods for 3 days before use. When it comes to perishable items, you have to get them in refrigeration. So the steps are pretty much the same. You're going to want to use 1 wipe per item, cleaning it thoroughly. Once your items are thoroughly clean, you can move them onto the clean workspace. Something you may want to consider is ahead of time designating 1 shelf in your fridge and your freezer for your new incoming items. That way, if you choose to delay the use of them for 3 to 5 days, they are all located together, and once that time has passed and you feel safe using them, you can move them on to the other shelves. Now that is not necessary, and it is just something I am doing in our home as an extra step of safety and precaution. We are fortunate enough to have a garage refrigerator with a freezer. So when our new groceries come in, I do thoroughly clean them, I place them in that fridge, and once the time has passed that I feel safe, I will go ahead and bring them into our home. Now, if I didn't have wipes to work with, I would go ahead and dilute some bleach in some warm water and use a rag. You could even use things like rubbing alcohol to disinfect your groceries. Now let's talk about things like eggs and meat and produce. So far, all of these items have been delivered to my home in some sort of plastic bag. So I just open it up and gently drop it onto the clean side into a clean food container. For things that are troublesome to open, you can use your scissors. It's not going to be perfect, but then you can safely discard the packaging knowing that nothing dirty has touched your fruits and vegetables in days. And while I would consider them safe to eat, it is wise to go ahead and be certain that you wash them under running water for 20 to 30 seconds. Just consider it the same length as a hand washing for each item. That would be each carrot, each apple, any item that you bring into your home. As you can see here, I'm being very careful to not touch any of the lettuce, only touching the plastic to keep it as clean as possible. Now, when it comes to things like eggs and meat, I think there's a few different ways you can do this. Here I'm showing you wiping down each egg individually, making sure it is clean and disinfected before placing it onto our clean workspace. Now, for my family, what we are doing is setting the eggs into the refrigerator in our garage that we're not going to use for 3 to 5 days. Then when I feel comfortable, I will bring them inside and clean each one under cold running water before discarding the packaging and placing them into something clean in our indoor refrigerator. It's the same thing when it comes to packaged meat. You could wipe it down and freeze it. But for myself, we're going to be using this turkey tonight. So I am going to go ahead and show you that you can open prepackaged meat and then transfer it into your clean workspace. Now I can discard the packaging knowing that our meat is safe to use immediately. Now for the cleanup, and this is when I would place our tools in that hot water we talked about earlier. Now that I've handled my dirty tools, it's time to remove my gloves, touching the outside of them as little as possible, placing them directly into the trash, and doing some good hand washing before touching the items I just painstakingly cleaned and disinfected. Now, if you choose to delay the use of your items, think of places you could store them. Perhaps a garage. If you don't have a garage but you have a car, you can leave some dry goods in the trunk, maybe a spare bedroom, or maybe even an extra bathroom you never go in. Now for my family, I am delaying the use of my groceries, and I do put on a new clean pair of gloves while doing so. Then I go ahead and clean and disinfect anything I may have come into contact with, any surfaces including the refrigerator, before discarding my gloves and more hand washing. Now for some, this may all seem way over the top. As many of you know, I am immune compromised, and after I'm done handling all my groceries, I actually go ahead, head inside, change out of my dirty clothes, and often take a shower. These are just ways to help myself and my family stay healthy during a time that we are adjusting to new normals. And remember, these are just my tips and tricks. I would love to hear from you all. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know some of your tips and tricks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back very soon.